Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to crack the code on UX/UI interviews. We're going to go way beyond the usual advice and really dig into the one thing companies are truly looking for. And spoiler alert, it's probably not what you think. It's all about proving you're the one candidate they just can't afford to pass up.
Okay, let's start with the single most important idea that changes everything. UX/UI interviews are not knowledge tests, they're risk tests. Seriously. It's not about whether you can recite the definition of heuristic evaluation. At its core, the company is trying to answer one simple question. Can we trust this person with our product, our users, and, frankly, our money? Every single step in the hiring process is designed to lower their risk in hiring you.
So what does that actually look like? Well, most candidates take the exam approach, right? They memorize vocabulary, they practice these generic answers to common questions. But that's a losing strategy because the company is running a risk test. They want to see if you can defend your design choices, if you can handle tough trade-offs, and if you can think on your feet when you're under pressure. It's a completely different game.
Right, so if you want to prove you're a safe bet, you first have to understand the playbook they're using. So let's pull back the curtain on the real hiring pipeline and see what each stage is actually designed to test.
Most companies follow some version of this 5-step process. You got the recruiter screen, which is just checking your basic communication, then the portfolio review, the design exercise, the cross-functional round. Each one is a different filter. It's built to test a different part of your trustworthiness way before you even get to the hiring manager. Now let's zoom in on what is almost always the most critical round, the portfolio review. On the surface, it seems pretty straightforward, right? You just walk them through one or two of your best case studies. But you'll notice something pretty quickly. They don't just sit there and listen. They interrupt you a lot.
And guess what? Those interruptions are the entire point. They're not being rude. They are literally stress testing your thinking. Can you explain why you made a certain decision when you're put on the spot? Are you honest about the things that went wrong? Do you think about business goals and engineering problems, or are you just stuck on making pretty screens? That's what they're really checking.
So through all of these different stages, there's this unspoken scoring system happening in the background, and it really boils down to 5 key qualities that scream, "You can trust me."
Let's break down these 5 traits that interviewers are constantly and often subconsciously evaluating you on.
And here they are. First, clarity. Can you explain complicated stuff in a simple way? Decision quality. Is your reasoning solid and do you have evidence to back it up? Constraint thinking. Do you actually embrace limitations or do you fight them? Communication. Can you defend your work without getting defensive? And finally, integrity. Are you honest about your real role and what didn't go so well? If you can nail these 5, you're golden.
Okay, so now we know the rules of the game and exactly how you're being scored. Let's get practical. Here is a step-by-step playbook you can use to systematically build that trust and prepare to absolutely crush it.
It all starts here. Don't try to prep 5 different projects. Pick one primary case study that you know inside and out, backwards and forwards. It has to be bulletproof. It needs a super clear problem. It needs to show your process, not just pretty final screens. And most importantly, it needs to have key decisions where you had to make a tough trade-off.
Next up, you have got to script your introduction. That first impression is everything. Write and practice a really crisp 60-second story that tells them exactly who you are, what you specialize in, and what you're looking for. No life story, no fluff. Just a clear, confident statement about who you are as a professional. Okay, now listen up, because this next part is the secret weapon. It is the single most important piece of prep you can do. You are going to build what I call a decision bank. This is basically your own personal database for every single important choice you made in that case study.
And here's the template. For every key screen or user flow, you write down the decision you made, the reason you made it, the evidence that supported it, the trade-off you had to accept, and the metric you'd use to see if it worked. That way, when they interrupt you with, "So why'd you do that?" you've got a perfect, structured answer ready to go. No panic, no fumbling.
So once that decision bank is built, it's time to practice. But, and this is a big but, you're not just practicing your presentation. You are practicing being interrupted. Get a friend to just fire these tough questions at you while you're talking. The goal isn't just to have the answer, it's to deliver it calmly without getting flustered. That's how you project real confidence and seniority.
Finally, at the end of the interview, it's your turn, and you have to remember, this is still a test. Do not waste this opportunity by asking basic questions like, "So what tools do you guys use?
Ask questions that show you're thinking on a higher level, about team dynamics, about business goals, about product strategy. This shows them you're not just a pixel pusher, you're a potential strategic partner.
So we've covered the whole pipeline, we've laid out the playbook. But if you only remember one single thing from this entire explainer, please make it this.
This is it. This is the grand, unified theory of UX interviewing. For every major decision in your portfolio, you have to master these 4 things. What did you actually do? Why on earth did you do it? What did you have to give up or sacrifice to make it happen? And how would you measure if it actually worked? If you can nail those 4 questions, you are already, without a doubt, ahead of almost everyone else.
So at the end of the day, your entire preparation strategy has to shift. It's not about proving you know a bunch of design vocabulary, it's about proving you can be trusted to make smart, defensible decisions when the pressure is on and nobody's looking over your shoulder. Your goal is to walk out of that interview leaving them with one simple thought. This person is not a risk, they're an asset. And that is how you win.